Welcome, gents. You only realize the rare ones when they are no longer by your side. There is something about a Sigma male that leaves a mark you cannot forget. He moves through life with calm confidence, quiet strength, and a sense of purpose that feels magnetic without trying to be. He lives on his own terms, values his freedom, and carries an energy that is rare to encounter. When he is gone, the space he occupied becomes impossible to ignore, and suddenly the absence reveals how extraordinary he really was. Sigma males are not like everyone else. They think deeply, act deliberately, and set boundaries that protect their peace. They have a way of showing what matters without words, and they teach, inspire, and challenge people simply by being themselves. Losing a Sigma male is not just about missing someone, it is about realizing what was once present and how unique it truly was. His presence encourages reflection, growth, and a recognition of what a meaningful connection really looks like. This video will help you understand why women often feel drawn to Sigma males after they are gone. It is not about chasing or regret. It is about seeing the lessons their absence leaves behind. Sigma males reveal clarity, strength, and depth in ways that are rare, and once that energy is gone, it makes people recognize its value in ways they never did before. By watching until the end, you will gain insight into why losing a Sigma male awakens reflection, admiration, and even longing. You will see that his influence is not fleeting. It leaves a lasting mark that teaches respect, self-awareness, and the true meaning of authenticity. Understanding this is not just eye-opening, it is empowering, and it reminds you why Sigma males are unforgettable. Let's dive deeper, gents. Number 1. They leave mental imprints, not just emotional. When a Sigma male exits your life, it's not just his presence you miss, it's the way he made you think. Most men leave behind memories of moments, but a Sigma male leaves behind shifts in perception. He doesn't just touch your heart, he rewires your mind. You start seeing things differently, thinking deeper, questioning everything you once accepted without hesitation. His influence lingers like a quiet echo in the back of your thoughts long after he's gone. He's not the kind of man who fills silence with empty words. When he speaks, he makes you pause and reconsider. He observes before he reacts, and his calmness in moments of chaos makes you reflect on how you handle your own storms. He doesn't tell you what to do, yet somehow you start moving differently after knowing him. It's like his energy plants seeds in your mind, seeds that keep growing even when he's no longer around. You might find yourself recalling the way he looked at things, how he never rushed to judge, how he always seemed to see a bigger picture. It's subtle but powerful. He teaches without trying, influences without forcing, and leaves a kind of mental fingerprint that time can't erase. When he's gone, that's when it really hits you. You start comparing every new person to him, not because you want to, but because no one else seems to bring that same depth. His detachment wasn't coldness, it was awareness. He made you realize that real connection isn't about constant attention. It's about mutual understanding and mental stimulation. That's why women chase Sigma males even after losing them. It's not just love they miss, it's the rare mental connection they can't replicate anywhere else. His memory becomes a quiet teacher that keeps showing up in unexpected moments, reminding you what real presence feels like, even in his absence. Number 2. They never dramatized love. When a Sigma male loves you, it feels almost too calm to be real. There's no noise, no chaos, no unnecessary drama. He doesn't chase, argue, or perform. His love is steady, intentional, and quiet, and that's what makes it so powerful. At first, some people mistake that peace for a lack of passion. They think love should always come with sparks and intensity, forgetting that constant noise often hides emptiness. But once he's gone, That calm becomes something you crave like air. Sigma males don't dramatize love because they see through emotional games. They don't believe love should drain you. They believe it should ground you. He won't beg for attention or create scenes to prove his care. Instead, he shows it through consistency, respect, and presence. He'll remember the small details, listen when you speak, and protect your peace as if it were his own. That's his version of passion. Quiet, controlled, but deeply sincere. When that kind of energy disappears, it hits harder than expected. You start noticing how noisy other connections feel. The emotional roller coasters that once seemed exciting now feel exhausting. The attention you used to crave feels shallow because no one else brings that same sense of safety he did. His absence reveals what his presence truly meant: stability, maturity, and emotional intelligence. A Sigma male doesn't love to be worshipped, he loves to connect. But when that connection is taken for granted, he doesn't fight to stay. He simply steps back, letting silence speak where words once did, and that silence becomes haunting. It's not emptiness, it's the echo of what was real. That's why women chase Sigma males after losing them. It's not the man they're chasing, it's the peace, the balance, and the rare kind of love that never demanded attention but gave it effortlessly. Once you've felt that, chaos never feels like love again. Number 3. The freedom paradox. There's something both magnetic and maddening about a Sigma male's freedom. He can care deeply, but he never clings. He can love you fully, yet still know when it's time to leave. That kind of independence confuses people at first. Most are used to relationships that feed on control, attachment, and reassurance. But a Sigma male doesn't operate from need. He operates from choice, and that's what makes his presence so powerful. When a woman realizes he doesn't need her to complete him, it can stir something inside her she can't quite explain. At first, it might look like confidence or mystery, but over time, it becomes clear. It's freedom. He's free to love without losing himself, free to give without expecting constant validation, and free to walk away when peace costs him too much. That's where the paradox begins. His freedom becomes the very thing that makes him irresistible, because the moment you realize you can't control him, you start craving the part of him that refuses to be tamed. The harder you try to hold him, the further he slips away, not because he's running, but because he won't live in emotional captivity. A Sigma male's detachment isn't coldness, it's discipline. He values connection, but never at the expense of his own soul. And that quiet self-respect becomes addictive to anyone who's never experienced it before. It forces people to question their own habits, their own emotional dependencies, and that's why losing him feels like losing something sacred. When he walks away, it doesn't feel like rejection. It feels like life just took away something real, something unbothered by games and expectations. That's the paradox. The more free he is, the more you want him. The moment he stops trying to be understood, that's when you start wishing you had understood him better. Number 4. A Sigma male never plays for the crowd. He's not the man who needs to be seen, praised, or validated to feel worthy. He lives by his own standards, not by society's. He doesn't wear masks or try to be the version of himself that others would approve of. And that's exactly what makes him stand out in a world full of people pretending to be something they're not. When he's with someone, he doesn't act like a prize to be shown off or a title to be claimed. He's not there to boost your image or feed your ego. He's there because he chooses to be. That alone separates him from the rest. He doesn't perform for attention or affection. He gives both from a genuine place, without needing an audience to applaud him for it. But the moment he's gone, that's when it hits. You realize that what you lost wasn't just a man, it was authenticity in its purest form. The world is full of people trying too hard to impress, trying too hard to be liked. A Sigma male never tried, and that quiet self-assurance becomes unforgettable once it's missing. Losing someone who never needed the spotlight teaches a painful lesson. You begin to see how rare it is to meet a person who doesn't measure their worth by how others see them. It's not arrogance, it's freedom. He was secure in himself, and that energy gave you permission to be more real too. And when he's gone, you start noticing how much of life is just noise. People showing off, pretending, chasing approval. That's when the regret sets in. Because once you've experienced someone who doesn't play by the rules of validation, no one else feels as real. He wasn't a trophy to win. He was a truth you failed to keep. Number 5. They created self-reliance. When a Sigma male walks into your life, he doesn't come with neediness or dependency. He doesn't demand constant reassurance, attention, or control. He brings peace, not pressure. His calm independence might confuse you at first because it's rare to meet someone who isn't emotionally hooked on being needed. But over time, you start to notice that being around him quietly teaches you something powerful: how to stand on your own 2 feet. Sigma males lead by example. They don't preach about strength, they embody it. Their self-reliance isn't arrogance. It's a deep understanding that no one can truly complete you but yourself. When you're with a man like that, you naturally begin to mirror his energy. You start thinking for yourself, relying less on emotional drama, and finding peace in your own space. He doesn't push you to grow. He inspires it. But when he's gone, that's when you fully realize what he left behind. His absence becomes a mirror that forces you to look at your own emotional balance. You start questioning why you depended so much on others to feel secure. And then it hits. You weren't addicted to him. You were addicted to the sense of stability and clarity that came from his energy. Sigma males don't cling because they trust life's flow. If they stay, it's by choice, not by fear of being alone. Losing that kind of presence exposes how much noise most people carry inside. Suddenly, the connections you used to crave feel shallow. You start missing the quiet confidence he carried, the way he could stand alone without feeling lonely. That's why women chase Sigma males after losing them. It's not about romance. It's about realizing they once had someone who made independence feel safe, not lonely. His absence doesn't just leave a gap in your heart. It awakens a part of you that still wants to grow into the kind of peace he lived every day. Number 6. They reveal true priorities. When a Sigma male steps out of your life, he doesn't leave with drama or bitterness. He leaves with quiet clarity. And it's that calm exit that forces you to see things for what they truly are. His detachment has a strange power. It's not cold or heartless. It's purposeful. He has a way of showing you, without even trying, what really matters and what never did. When he was around, you might have mistaken his calm for disinterest. He didn't chase arguments, he didn't try to prove points, and he didn't fight for attention. Instead, he focused on what was genuine: honesty, loyalty, peace, and mutual respect. He valued things most people overlook because they're too distracted by surface-level emotions. You only start to see the weight of that when he's gone. That's when his detachment begins to make sense. It wasn't distance, it was discernment. He simply refused to pour his energy into things that didn't serve truth or growth. And now, with his absence, you begin to notice how shallow most interactions around you feel. The noise, the games, the need for control, all of it loses meaning because you've already experienced something deeper. His way of moving through life forces reflection. You start asking yourself hard questions. What do I really value? What was I chasing? Why did I overlook someone who actually brought peace instead of chaos? Those realizations sting because they expose the truth. You didn't lose someone ordinary, you lost someone who mirrored your real priorities back at you. And that's where desire returns. Not for the fantasy, but for the authenticity he carried. His detachment stripped away illusions and showed you what real connection should look like. Once you've seen that kind of truth, everything else feels small. Losing him doesn't just hurt, it teaches. And that lesson is what keeps you wanting him long after he's gone. Number 7. They hold non-negotiables. A Sigma male doesn't draw boundaries to play hard to get. He draws them because he knows who he is. He's not afraid to walk away from anything that disturbs his peace or questions his self-respect. His non-negotiables aren't up for discussion. They're not walls to keep people out, but lines that protect his values and identity. And that kind of firmness, while often misunderstood, becomes unforgettable once he's gone. When you're with a Sigma male, you quickly learn that there are limits you can't cross. He won't entertain manipulation, guilt-tripping, or emotional games. He listens, but he doesn't bend to fit your moods. At first, that might frustrate you because he's not easily swayed. But deep down, it earns your respect. His boundaries make you see how often you've accepted less than you deserved from others. When he leaves, that's when those boundaries hit hardest. You start replaying moments where he quietly stood his ground, moments where he refused to compromise his principles just to keep the peace. Those weren't acts of pride, they were acts of self-respect. And now that he's gone, you begin to realize how rare that level of self-control and inner clarity really is. His firmness becomes a mirror, reflecting the truth you may have avoided. How much did you tolerate in others that you shouldn't have? How often did you lower your standards just to feel loved? Losing him exposes that truth in a way that's impossible to ignore. The harsh reality is, his non-negotiables weren't the problem. They were the lesson. He didn't ask for perfection, just honesty and respect. And once he's gone, you start to crave that level of certainty again. Because being around someone who knows exactly what they stand for doesn't just feel safe, it makes you question why you ever accepted anything less. Number 8. They inspire introspection. A Sigma male doesn't try to change anyone. He simply lives in a way that makes you reflect on yourself. His presence alone challenges your mindset without him ever saying much. He doesn't force you to grow. He simply is growth. And when someone like that leaves, it's not just his absence you feel. It's the mirror he held up to your soul that suddenly disappears. When you're around a Sigma male, you can't hide behind pretense for long. His calm awareness sees through performance. He listens deeply, notices what you don't say, and picks up on the truths you try to bury. At first, it's disarming. You start realizing how much of your behavior has been shaped by fear, insecurity, or social pressure. And that realization can be uncomfortable. But with him, it also feels safe because he never judges. He just observes. When he's gone, that's when the reflection begins. You start replaying the way he handled challenges, how he stayed grounded in situations that would have broken most people. You remember his honesty, his discipline, his peace, and then you start comparing it to your own. That's when the internal questions appear. Have I really grown since knowing him? Or did I stay the same while he evolved? His absence stirs something deep. It makes you aware of where you've been stagnant, where you've settled, and where you've ignored your own potential. And for many, that realization turns into desire, not just for him, but for the version of themselves they began becoming when he was around. That's the power of a Sigma male's presence. He doesn't change you directly, he awakens the part of you that wants to change. Losing him becomes less about heartbreak and more about unfinished growth. And that's why women often chase him, not out of longing for the past, but because he represents the version of themselves they wish they had the courage to fully become. Number 9. They are rare and unreplicable. A Sigma male is the kind of person you notice even when he's quiet. He doesn't shout for attention, and he doesn't try to impress. His confidence is calm but unshakable. His independence isn't showy, and his vulnerability is subtle, revealed only to those who earn it. That combination is incredibly rare because most people operate at extremes. They are loud but insecure, independent but emotionally distant, or vulnerable but weak. A Sigma male balances all three in a way that feels effortless, natural, and authentic. When he's around, it may not always feel obvious how extraordinary he is. You might even take it for granted, thinking that someone like him is common or replaceable. But once he's gone, absence does what presence cannot. It highlights his uniqueness. You start noticing the little things, the way he didn't demand attention, yet you always wanted to be near him, the way he maintained his boundaries without pushing you away, the way he could be vulnerable without losing himself. That mix can't be imitated. Others may try to mimic his confidence, copy his independence, or feign vulnerability, but it never feels the same. Sigma males are rare because they are whole in a way most people aren't. They've figured out how to balance strength and softness, detachment and care, solitude and presence. Losing him teaches a harsh truth. People like him are 1 in a million. You can meet many men, but few will ever leave the same imprint, stir the same reflection, or inspire the same sense of longing. His absence emphasizes that fact. You realize that you weren't chasing just a person. You were chasing someone who cannot be duplicated, a presence so rare that once it's gone, it leaves a gap that nothing ordinary can fill. And that's why women chase Sigma males after losing them. It's not just desire, it's the recognition of a rarity they cannot replace, a truth they can't find anywhere else. Number 10. They resist ownership. A Sigma male doesn't belong to anyone, and he never pretends to. He doesn't need to prove loyalty with words, and he doesn't try to tie himself down for validation. His independence isn't defiance, it's a reflection of how he values himself. That's why no one can control him, manipulate him, or claim him as if he were a prize. He moves through life on his own terms, and anyone hoping to possess him quickly realizes it's impossible. When he's around, it's tempting to mistake his freedom for detachment. You might feel frustrated by his boundaries, confused by his calm refusal to bend, or even challenged by his insistence on self-sovereignty. But that very independence is what makes him magnetic. It isn't about pushing people away, it's about living authentically, without needing to conform or perform. Once he leaves, that freedom becomes unforgettable. His absence makes women reflect on their own desire to hold on, to control, to chase. The realization hits that what they were truly seeking wasn't dominance or possession. It was the kind of space he occupied while still allowing connection. His love never suffocated. It offered choice. Losing him exposes that longing, that craving for a connection that respects individuality and freedom simultaneously. The chase isn't about winning him back. It's about wanting to experience what it felt like to be part of something that wasn't forced, controlled, or constrained. His detachment isn't rejection. It's a lesson in how love can exist without ownership. That is the paradox of a Sigma male. The more free he is, the more people want him, not because they can control him, but because they understand the rare value of a love that allows freedom. Losing him isn't just a loss of a man, it's a loss of that lesson, that experience of true autonomy within a relationship. And that is why his absence is so profoundly felt. Number 11. Absence highlights scarcity. When a Sigma male walks away, the silence he leaves behind doesn't feel like peace. It feels like something vital has been unplugged from your world. At first, it may seem like he's just another man who decided to move on, but give it time, and that absence starts to echo. You begin to notice how rare his presence actually was, the way he respected his own space, the way he didn't cling, the way he stood firm on what he believed. Those things start to stand out when you realize how few people operate on that level. Sigma males carry a kind of quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself. Their independence isn't a show, it's a way of life. They don't depend on anyone for their sense of worth, and that's exactly what makes them magnetic. When he's around, you might think he's too calm, too self-contained, maybe even distant. But when he's gone, that calm turns into something you crave, because you start to see how chaotic the world feels without it. It's not just that he's confident, it's that he never tried to control you. His boundaries made you feel both challenged and safe. He could give space without creating distance. That balance is rare, and once you've experienced it, everyone else feels a little off. People often mistake his independence for indifference until he's no longer there to remind them what real emotional control looks like. Then the truth hits. His presence wasn't ordinary, it was grounding. It made you feel like things had meaning even when no words were spoken. That's the scarcity. You can meet dozens of people after him, but no one will carry that same quiet certainty. His absence becomes a mirror that shows what most people lack: depth, peace, and authenticity. And once you've tasted that kind of energy, nothing else feels right again. In final words, some people leave quietly, but their absence speaks louder than words. Losing a Sigma male is never just about losing a relationship. It's about losing a rare presence that reflected clarity, independence, and authenticity, qualities that are hard to come by and even harder to forget. Women chase them not because of arrogance or drama, but because losing them shines a light on what truly matters and what was once taken for granted. Their absence teaches lessons about self-respect, emotional depth, and the kind of freedom that makes love feel real instead of suffocating. As a Sigma female, you already understand the value of walking your own path, trusting your instincts, and refusing to settle for less than what resonates with your soul. You recognize strength not in loud words or forced attention, but in quiet confidence and self-sufficiency. That is exactly why Sigma males leave such an impact. They connect with your energy on a level that is subtle but profoundly stirring. Chasing a Sigma male after he is gone is less about longing and more about reflection. It is a recognition of the rare authenticity he brought into your life, and a reminder of the standards you hold for yourself and others. It is a call to honor your own independence while appreciating the depth of connection that comes from someone who never needed to perform or demand attention to be valuable. Remember this: your worth is never measured by whether someone stays. Being a Sigma female means knowing your value, walking your own path, and understanding that the people who truly matter will leave a lasting imprint whether they remain or move on. The lesson of a Sigma male is not just in his presence, it is in his absence, and the clarity it brings is a gift you can carry forward with strength, wisdom, and grace. Thank you for watching, and God bless you. Yes.